Good afternoon, grade 12 learners. I am Bangele Putuma, the subject advisor for physical sciences and technical sciences. Today I will be presenting technical sciences, overview of the paper and exam tips for technical sciences paper 2. The overview of the paper is as follows. The total of the paper is 75. The total of the paper is 75. So the structure of the paper is as follows. Section A and Section B. So the total marks for Section A is 10 marks and the total mark for Section B is 65 marks, which makes that 75. And then the structure of the questions are as follows. In the multiple choice question, you will have all the topics in paper 2 technical sciences. But in the structured questions, question number 2 to 4 is matter and materials. So for matter and materials is organic chemistry. So in question number 2, it's nomenclature. Question number 2, nomenclature. Question number 3, physical properties, and question number 4, organic reactions. Then in question number 5 and 6, we have chemical change, which is electrochemistry, galvanic cell, and also electrolytic cell. So as I have indicated that we have Section A and Section B, Section A being multiple choice question, I will be giving tips on how to answer multiple choice question. The very first tip that I want to give you is do not guess. Do not leave empty spaces. And how to answer multiple choice question. I want to say use elimination method. So when you are given the question paper, you will find that multiple choice question will be from 1.1 to 1.5 for technical sciences paper 2. So usually 1.1 and 1.2 are the easiest, and also the last question, which is 1.5. So normally what happens, learners will try 1.1 and 1.2. When 1.3 and 1.4 are difficult, they will end up guessing even 1.5, which is easy. So let us apply the tips in the multiple choice question. This is 1.1 to 1.3 that are extracted from June 2024 Technical Sciences Paper 2. The very first question says the name of the functional group of ethanol. The name of the functional group of ethanol. So we know that from the examination guidelines, you are given the 9 homologous series. And then out of the 9 homologous series, you are also given the name or the description of the functional groups. For example, you know that alkanes, they are described as organic molecules with single bonds, alkene double bonds, alkynes triple bonds. And then for haloalkanes, it will be a halogen. And also for alcohols, is a hydroxide, carboxylic acid, carboxyl, ketone, carbonyl, and the formyl. So for this question, it's a recall question, you know. So before you can even use elimination method, you can just hide the options and then read the statement that is given. So the statement that is given is the name of the functional group of an ethanol. So you know that ethanol belongs to an alcohol as a homologous series. And the name of the functional group, for alcohol will be a hydroxide. So in this case, you just go and choose a C. And then for 1.2, which homologous series has London forces, dipole, and hydrogen bonds? Which homologous series has London, dipole, and hydrogen bonds? So the easiest way, I would suggest that you draw this table. And then 1, 2, 3. So from this table, you're going to have London and then dipole, and also hydrogen bonds. So you know that in London forces group, you have AAA, which is your hydrocarbons, alkane, alkene, and alkyne. Dipole, you have your hake, which means halo, alkane, aldehyde, ketone, and then ester. And then the last one will be a Ca, a carboxylic acid and an alcohol. So the first group, which is the London group, has only London forces. Then the Hague group has London forces in addition to London forces, dipole. Then the last one, carboxylic acid and also alcohol, has London forces in addition to that, dipole, and hydrogen bond. So we are only looking for carboxylic acid or an alcohol. So we go there, we have carboxylic acid. So the option will be D. Let's say you were not hiding, you were using elimination method. So for elimination method, you know, this will be out because below the alkanes only has London forces. And then B, dipole. C, London and dipole. So the correct one will be D. 1.3. An element in group 3. So for this one, the examiner is specific to say the element in group 3. So what you are looking for is an element in group 3 that can be used for doping. We know for doping, we can use silicon, right? We can use germanium. But silicon and germanium, they are in group number what? Group number 4. So in this case, the examiner is specific to say in group 3. So the element in group 3 that can be used for doping will be a Ga, which is gallium, and that will be B. So for 1.1, the correct answer is C. For 1.2, the correct answer is D. And for 1.3, the correct answer will be B. So C, D, B. So let's go to 1.4 and 1.5. So for 1.4, which one of the following combinations of standard conditions? So now, standard conditions. So now, if we're talking about standard conditions, there are 3 standard conditions. We are looking at temperature in degrees Celsius or in kelvins. You are looking for pressure in kilopascals or in atm. You are looking for concentration in mole per decimeter cube. So what I wanted also to emphasize is that in your question paper, here I'm having a question paper from June. So in your question paper, there is table 1. I will show you in part 2. There is table 1. In that table 1, you are given the standard pressure. So if you are given the gaseous reactants and products, you simply go to table 1, you take that pressure as is, 1,1 times 10 raised to 3 pascals. But in that is 1,013 times 10 raised to 5 pascals, which is the same thing. And then for temperature, the temperature is given in kelvins, is 273 kelvins. So in addition to that, because you are converting degrees Celsius to kelvins, 273 plus 25, it will be 298 kelvins. So in this case, we're going to use elimination method. So for elimination method, since the question says the non-gaseous reactant, so we will remove any option with pressure. So A has pressure, out. B has pressure, out. So we are left with C and a D. Then we know that the temperature in kelvins is 298, and the temperature in kelvins is 298, and the temperature in degrees Celsius is 25. So in this case, D is also out, which is 0 kelvins. So now we're going to take C, which is 1 mole per decimeter cube. That's the correct one because it's a non-gaseous reactants and products. 1.5, we said earlier on, 1.5 normally is the easiest. So 1.5 says a solution that can conduct an electric current through the movement of ions. This is the definition of an electrolyte. Learners, you know this is the definition. So there is no need to use elimination method. So as you were reading that, you were hiding options. So you know, you simply go to D, which is an electrolyte. That's how you answer multiple choice questions. You don't guess. You don't leave empty spaces. You look for 1, 1 and 1, 2 and also 1, 5. Because the minimum marks you can get in the multiple choice question is 6 marks and the maximum is 10 marks. So now let's go to question number 2. Question number 2 is nomenclature. So if you go to the examination guidelines, in the examination guidelines, you find that you have the definition of organic molecules as the first one. You have homologous series, which means you need to know the 9 homologous series. You need to know the 4 formulae. You need to know the hydrocarbons, the types of isomers, and also IUPAC naming. If you know all these 6, then you can answer question number 2. So for question number 2, what I want to suggest, in part 1, I won't answer all the questions, but I will give you tips on how to answer. So the tips to answer question number 2 will be, first, analyze the table. If you are given the molecular formula, the structural formula, and also condense the structural formula. So if you are given molecular formula, change that to structural formula so that you can see the functional group. So for A, first identify the homologous series. So A belongs to which homologous series? A belongs to an alkene. You are given C4H8. So C4H8 is CnH2n, which is C4 2 times 4, 8. This is the general formula of an alkene. So therefore, A belongs to alkene. Ethane is an alkane. Bromine is a bromine. It's a halogen in group number 7 of the periodic table. Ethanoic, that can be used to test alkanes and alkynes, or saturated and unsaturated. We also know that if we see a bromine, chlorine, iodine, and a fluorine, then the homologous series will be a haloalkane. Ethanoic acid is a carboxylic acid. And then when we look at E, so we have a carbon double bonded to oxygen, which is a carbonyl, bonded to oxygen and bonded to a carbon. This is an ester. So this first part is derived from the alcohol, and this one is derived from the carboxylic acid. And then we have C bonded to OH, which is the functional group of an alcohol. That's how you analyze your question 2. So it becomes easy now to answer the question. So the very first question that is asked is the definition of the functional group. So you must know the definitions, and you take definitions as they are from the examination guidelines. So the very first definition is define a functional group. What is a functional group? A functional group is a bond or an atom or a group of atoms that determines the physical and chemical properties of a group of organic compounds. That is the definition of a functional group. You give the IUPAC name of compound E. You look at E. So this belongs to an ester, which means this was derived from an alcohol. You know that an ester, the name of the ester consists of 2 parts. The first part is derived from the alcohol, and the second part is derived from the carboxylic acid, which means this will be 1, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, so 1, 2, this is derived from an alcohol, 1, 2, 1, 2. So this will be ethyl ether, no wait, so this part, sorry, from carboxylic acid, and this one from an alcohol. So the first part will be ethyl ether, no wait. From the list above, choose a substance that is used in the laboratory for the preparation of E. So E is an ester. So ester is prepared by what? By an alcohol and also a carboxylic acid. So the question says, from the list above, choose a substance that is used in the laboratory for the preparation of E. Write down only the letter. So the letter can be F or what? D, because we use ethanoic acid and alcohol in the presence of a sulfuric acid. So that's how you answer question number 2. I have 2 question number 2s, so I'm taking the second one. So the second one is, the first one was extracted from September 2022. This one is extracted from June 2024. Even in this one, the tip is to analyze the table. So the table, you are given a structural formula, then there's functional group, triple bond, that's an alkyne. So you are given COOH, which is a carboxylic acid, and then from this one, this part comes from carboxylic acid, and this from alcohol. Then you can see that C belongs to an ester. So C5H12. So for this one, this is an alkane because the general formula of this will be CnH2n plus 2, which means C5, 2 times 5, 10 plus 2, which is C5H12, which is an alkane. CH3, CH2, CH2, Cl is a condensed structural formula. And then the functional group is a Cl, so the homologous series is a haloalkane. Then you can draw this case when you're given the structural, the possible question can be draw a structural formula. Give the IUPAC name of this. E belongs to which homologous series. And then C3H6 was an alkene. So CnH2n is C3, 2 times 3 is 6. So you know the homologous series. Define a hydrocarbon. What is a hydrocarbon? A hydrocarbon is an organic compound that consists of hydrogen and carbon atoms only. You don't leave the word only when you are defining. But last year, the learners made a mistake. So the definition for November 2023 was define an organic molecule. So for organic molecule is organic molecules containing carbon atoms. There is no only for organic molecules. So write down the letters that represent two unsaturated. So unsaturated will be A and F. Okay, let's just move on because of time. This is question number 3. So for question number 3, it's a continuation of question number 2, but there will be the last question where you have to talk about the physical properties, but we'll talk about that. And then question number 4, this is question number 4, which is the organic reactions. Then in part 2, I will be explaining how to answer question number 3 and question number 4. And then question number 5, it's electrolytic cell. And question number 6 is a galvanic cell. All the best as you prepare for your exams. I will be preparing now part 2. So in part 2, we'll be answering questions from question number 2 to the last question. So I won't be talking about the overview of the paper. I will be just looking at the answering of questions, how to answer questions, how to get 30 marks in paper 2 for you to get